Who will die in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Since time immemorial, mankind has looked to the stars and wondered which beloved character will James Gunn kill off in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Hey, you're the one who said you wanted to die among friends.
Okay, maybe not time immemorial, but considering how meaningless time has felt over the past couple of years, you catch my drift. Regardless, we know from interviews and the writer-director's Instagram stories that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will feature a major character death. The real question is, who will die, how will they die, and
why is Gamora?
Sure, Drax, sure. We'll go with that. With all of that said, this is entirely speculation for the time being, and we won't know for certain until May 5th, 2023. Any number of things can change between now and then in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, if we are right about this, it could be considered a spoiler. So, if you're worried about that kind of thing, even though I've clearly laid out all the ground rules, just push the button to close this window.
No! That's the button that will kill everyone!
Alright folks, let's get into it, shall we? We're gonna run down all the major characters that we know will be a part of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and try to scientifically determine who's going to live and who's going to die based on a rigorous metric of in-universe clues, comic book lore, and gut instinct. So without further ado, let's start with Star-Lord.
Who?
Peter Quill is perhaps the biggest question mark on this list given his status as the ostensible leader of the team.
Everybody knows who's in charge.
From putting together this band of a-holes to save the galaxy via dance-off, to resolving some deep-seated cosmic daddy issues, to the worst timed punch perhaps of all time, Star-Lord has been through a lot. And by the time Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 hits theaters, Chris Pratt will have been playing Star-Lord for nearly a decade. He might be feeling the itch to depart for less spandex-filled pastures like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. did. However, with all of that said, I don't see Star-Lord biting the bullet in this film, especially considering the newfound importance of the Celestials in the MCU. Who knows, maybe he'll die in the Christmas special after trying to chug more eggnog than Drax does, but in this movie, no chance. Gamora. There is no way that Gamora is going to die in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, unless James Gunn is playing some sort of twisted psychological mind game with us. We already saw Gamora die in Avengers Infinity War after Thanos earned his world's worst dad ever coffee mug on Vormir. Unlike certain Black Widows I could name, Gamora has a new lease on life, and currently the MCU has the 2014 version of Gamora on the loose, with the rest of the Guardians trying to track her down. And that's gonna make for some uncomfortable conversations between her and Star-Lord, but it definitely won't end with us watching Gamora do her best Don Draper impression all over again. Groot. Folks, the same logic applies here. We've seen Groot die in the first Guardians movie, and his sacrifice is one of the most beautiful and impactful moments in that whole film. We watched him die again in Avengers Infinity War, and look, I get the rule of threes is a thing, but come on, man. Groot dying 3 times feels as needlessly cruel as repeatedly killing off Tony Stark in What If, which... Oh, no. Are they really gonna kill Groot again? No, they're not. He's gonna be fine. He'll be fine.
We're all gonna die.
Nebula. While we got to see a brand new side of Nebula during What If, she has come an awfully long way in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's main timeline as well. From vicious assassin to reluctant ally to fighting alongside the Avengers, Nebula's journey could feasibly come to an end in this film, but I don't think it's going to end with her being uploaded to that cloud storage in the sky. Besides, I need her to live long enough to infiltrate the Council of Kangs in a blonde wig so we can later learn that Ravonna Renslayer secretly disguised herself as Nebula, as Kang, just like in the comics, or else why even bother? Kang watch. Drax. I have some bad news for you, Drax fans. Everybody's favorite destroyer is most likely going to shuffle off this mortal coil in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, even though he can turn himself completely invisible.
Dude, how long have you been standing there?
An hour.
Speaking with Digital Spy, Dave Bautista got candid about how this will be his final outing as Drax in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After discussing a stalled Drax and Mantis spin-off movie, Bautista said, "I don't think the studio is very interested or it doesn't fit into the way they have things mapped out. But other than that, no, I mean, as far as my obligations, I've got Guardians 3 and that's probably gonna be the end of Drax." And while that doesn't necessarily mean that Drax will die in Guardians 3, we could see Drax in full-on the Destroyer mode. He could sacrifice himself to protect the rest of the Guardians, maybe even after potentially learning that the rumors of his daughter's death were greatly exaggerated. That way we can bring Moondragon into the MCU. Besides, adding a character like Moondragon would not only fill the Drax-shaped hole in the team's lineup, but segue nicely into the Celestial Madonna saga if Marvel chooses to go that route. And speaking of which, that brings us to our next candidate, Mantis. Folks, let me be clear, Mantis is not dying in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Not only does she provide some much-needed levity and emotional insight into a team that keeps their walls up 99% of the time, but she plays a major role in several of the Marvel Universe's cosmic storylines. She's at the center of the Celestial Madonna prophecy, destined to give birth to the most important being in the universe, the Celestial Messiah. That in turn leads to her getting kidnapped by Kang. Kang Watch. She also helps to predict the Annihilation Wave, the invasion by the interdimensional forces of Annihilus that nearly destroy the galaxy. Or who knows, maybe they'll really lean into the murder monster angle they've been teasing with the Darkhold in WandaVision, the Shumagoroth-esque monster from What If, and the Dweller in Darkness from Shang-Chi, and introduce us to the Cancerverse. That's a world in the comics where life actually defeated death, and it's dominated by ancient eldritch nightmare beings that Mantis and the rest of the Guardians have to invade to help save the day. But with all of that said, considering the multiversal interdimensional route the MCU's taking, I do think that Mantis is safe and sound for the time being. Adam Warlock. Folks, I'm fairly certain the answer isn't going to be Adam Warlock because we just learned earlier this week he's going to be played by Midsummer's Will Poulter. And considering the cosmic importance that Adam Warlock has to the Marvel Universe, it would feel particularly cruel to murder this golden piece of Jesus Christ Superstar fanfiction the moment that he finally joins the MCU. So Adam and his iconic eyebrows are going to be just A-okay. Rocket. We saved the saddest realization for last, folks, because as we discussed in yesterday's video about what Adam Warlock means for the MCU and Guardians 3, this movie is most likely Rocket's last hurrah. As James Gunn has previously mentioned, Guardians Volume 3 will explore elements of Rocket's origin and build on the gruff cybernetic limb-obsessed character's tragic past. With the importance of his found family thoroughly cemented and having saved the universe numerous times by this point, we could see Rocket meet his maker in more ways than one. Whether that means tracking down his creators to, say, Mount Wundagore or something, that remains to be seen. But Rocket has had perhaps the most significant character arc in the Guardians franchise thus far, and this would be one hell of a way to bring it to a close. Anyway, folks, there you have it. Those are our predictions for who will live and who will die in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Will these age like fine milk in the refrigerator or fine milk left out on the counter? Only time will tell, and considering the movie doesn't drop until 2023, we have time in spades. In the meantime, though, we'll have plenty of other MCU deep dives just waiting for you over on Nerdist.com. But for now, tell us, what do you think of our predictions? Who do you think will live and who will die in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
We're all gonna die.
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.